Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you're doing good. I am not going to be looking at my phone because I'm starting to drive right now, and I got a lot of people getting mad at me because I was looking at my phone when I was driving, but I wasn't touching it, so it was still legal. Anyways, real quick, I just want to talk to you guys about something. If you guys do not know this, if you guys are close friends with me and my wife, you probably already know this, but if you do not, I'm going to tell you something. We have sheep. We are, I guess you could call myself a shepherd. I can call myself a shepherd because we have a ram, which is a male sheep. We have an ewe. That is a female sheep, and every year they produce baby sheep, which are called lambs. So a ram, ewe, and lambs, right? So we have these sheep. We love them, right? They're pretty cool. They keep our weeds down in our backyard. But I was thinking about this. Sheep, it talks a lot in the Bible about sheep. There are so many verses. To give you guys a few, there's the one in Psalms where it says that we are the sheep of God's pasture. He is our shepherd, right? He watches over us. Even Jesus himself calls himself the good shepherd, right? He said, I am the good shepherd that lays down my own life for my sheep, right? And there's so many different things that talks about sheep. He goes after the one and leaves the 99. He goes after that lost sheep. We were that lost sheep at one time. So there's so many different things about sheep, right? Okay. And so I was thinking about this is in my own experience of owning sheep, the time that I have to really be careful with my sheep and be careful that they don't die, right? The death rate of sheep is mainly when the sheep are lambs, mainly when they are babies. And it makes sense. Why? Because baby sheep or lambs, young sheep, they're the most susceptible for disease. Why? Because they're weak, right? They're the most susceptible for predators because they're weak, because they're not strong, right? They're not smart. And so especially when baby sheep, when lambs are born, that is like go time for shepherds, because we're constantly having to like really check up on them, really watch them, make sure that they're eating, make sure that they're protected. And it's the same thing. I was thinking about this. It's the same thing with Christians, with new believers. If you are a new believer, when you first come to the Lord, it is very important to realize that you are not that strong yet. You are still young in the Lord. So what is your job? Your job is to eat as much as you can, to learn as much as you can, to stay around your parents or some stronger sheep or some people that are older than you, right? Some other believers. It's very important to stick with them, to eat, to protect yourself, and start to realize, man, what this new life is all about. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are a new believer, if you are a lamb in the spirit, man, it is important for you, man, to stay strong, to eat, to read the word as much as you can, to pray as much as you can, to go to church as much as you can, to learn as much as you can from the older believers, right? From pastors, from shepherds, right? And so that's very important. Then I was thinking about this. Now, other than lambs, the other high death rate is of adult sheep that become infected, okay, or they get hurt, or they get wounded. I have my ram. He's the strongest out of all the sheep that I've had. He's my ram. His name's Max, and he's kind of a punk, right? And so he's really strong, and he'll ram you, he'll hit you. But he got infected, right? He had this sore on the back of his butt, and before I knew it, flies. This is kind of gross. Flies actually laid eggs inside his own skin and started to eat him alive. And before I knew it, I started seeing all these maggots, and it was just super gross. And he almost died because he had an open wound. In me, what did I have to do? I had to, man, shave his butt down. I had to put all this antibacterial stuff on it to kill all these maggots, and I really had to protect him. And me and also Nino, another pastor, he helped me, right? Good friends of ours. He's like a father to me. He help me protect him, and so we ended up saving him. But I was thinking about this. Same thing with the sheep, with adult sheep, same thing with adult humans. No matter how long you've been saved, no matter how long you've been with the Lord, it's very important that we keep ourselves from being wounded, from being hurt, right? Or from having any open wounds. What do I mean? The number one thing that I believe that mature believers can suffer for, or can let the enemy in from, is of bitterness, or is from hurt from other people. I've seen some people that have known the Lord for years, but all of a sudden they get offended, or maybe a pastor says something, or a friend, or a mother-in-law, or a father-in-law, and before you know it, right, or a sister, or from another brother, you get offended, you get hurt, and it causes a wound, and before you know it, if you do not take care of that wound, that's why the Bible says it's very important not to let any root of bitterness come up between you. It's very important, if you are offended, to get that fixed right away, right? Because if you let the sun go down on your anger, if you let bitterness or hurt or things with your husband, wife, if you don't take care of those hurts and those pains, what will happen is it'll start to grow. It'll start to grow into something, and before you know it, it's attracting the demonic. It's attracting the flies, right? And that could actually kill you, pull you away from the Lord. So it's really important. So those are the things that I really want to tell you, just that I've learned about my own physical sheep, but also people in church. And one other thing I want to say this too. Another way that a sheep or a lamb will die, strong ones, weak ones, young ones, old ones, is if they fall away from the flock, or if they start to venture off by themselves. I'm also a hunter. I hunt, right? I hunt deer, ducks, dove, all that different stuff, pheasants. But one of the things that I've also hunted are sheep, are rams, right? They get the big horns, and right, they can taste good, all that good stuff. But when I shoot a ram, and I've done this in real life, I never shoot it when it's in the flock. Why? Because I don't get a good shot. I always would have to wait until one would venture off by itself, the one that I was actually hunting and wanting to shoot and scoping out, then I would actually shoot that one. And so same thing with us. The enemy, a lot of times it's hard for him when you're hanging out with other believers, other Christians, other sheep, right? And you're spending time with the Lord, going to church every week, you're praying, reading, you're in the fight, you're fighting that good fight of faith. It's hard for the enemy to take you out, or to pick you off. But it's easy when you're not going to church. It's easy when you're not praying and reading, when you start to go off by yourself, when you start to hang out with not other believers, when you start to hang out with goats, right, instead of sheep, when you start to hang out with people that are in the world, right, and you're not witnessing to them, you're actually hanging out with them, right? And so it's a lot easier for the enemy to pick you off. So I just want to encourage you guys, man, all that stuff. So what did we learn? We learned this. If you are a new believer, man, drink that milk, right? Learn as much as you can, pray, read, spend time with older believers, okay? Protect yourself from disease. If you're an old believer, man, continue to read, pray, all that stuff, but now you're on solid food. Don't be acting like a baby or a lamb anymore. That's another thing. Maybe you're an older believer, but you still act like a little lamb. You still are falling. You're still doing this. You're still not growing. You're not on solid food. That's not okay either. That's another mess up, right? You need to, if you're an old believer, you need to stop acting like a lamb, right? You need to start maturing, but also don't get bitter. Don't get offended. If you have been offended, ask for forgiveness. Man, make it right with people. Be pure in heart. It's hard for the enemy to take you out if you have a pure heart, if you're constantly, man, evaluating yourself, and let the Holy Spirit speak to you. And then another thing is, do not venture off. Do not stay away from the flock, right? Our enemy prowls around like a roaring lion. He wants to take us out. So it's really important for us to be wise. And so I love you guys. I hope you guys got something from that. And man, biggest thing is, here's one more thing I want to say, is Jesus is our good shepherd. And I've never seen a wolf afraid of a sheep. I've never seen a lion or a predator afraid of a sheep, because sheep aren't scary. But you know what the devil is afraid of? What the wolf is afraid of, right? The prowling lion, what he is afraid of is a shepherd, right? The enemy is not afraid of us. He's afraid of our good shepherd, Jesus, when we are with him, when we're beside him. Why? Because the good shepherd is the one with the staff, and he will bust the head of the enemy. So that's the number one thing. Man, stay close to the shepherd, Jesus. He loves you so much. Do whatever you have to do. Get a good prayer life. Spend time with the Lord. I love you guys. Hope that made sense. Hope you guys love it, and stay close to the good shepherd, man, and stay close to the other sheep. Be fed, be strong, and be wise, right? So I love you guys, man. Hope you're having a great day. Today's Valentine's Day. Hope you're having a great day. The Lord loves you. And I hope you guys are having fun eating chocolates and getting flowers and that kind of stuff too. Bye.